there! So today we have another review. This is a beer from Moonlight Brewing. This is Reality Czeck Pills. So they're out of Santa Rosa, California. Fun label on this one. I like the golden on there. You can see the Reality Czeck right there. And yeah, so this is a Czech style Pilsner. And they are just one of the better beers considered. I mean, I trust Don't Drink Beers. And he considers this one of the best American produced Pilsners, at least on the West Coast. Really weird. They actually have convenient single serving keg. This is 1/248th of a U.S. barrel. This is 437 milliliters. This is a 1 U.S. pint and then 60 fluid ounces. So it's also gluten reduced, so it might mean that they actually use enzyme to sort of break down the gluten compounds in beer. So it's also a fining compound. So I guess they're fining the beer and then also like reduces the gluten. But anyway, I just also reviewed the Angry Chair, and this one has actually like got a little bit of a haze to it, noticeably, but it's also quite light. Definitely a little bit more of head retention, but still very light colors, like old color. This one leans a little bit more on like sweet malt character, like light grainy character. And then also has a little bit of that kind of like, maybe it's like just what I familiarize myself with like Sods. Like, is this Salsa? I mean, you have to use Sods if you're using Czech style Pilsner, right? Yeah, you have to, right? So for me, this one is like a little less punchy on the nose. Cheers. More malt driven, at least aromatically. This makes more sense to me, right? It has more of that kind of like beer shot lager house kind of like, I don't know if multi-step mash, decoction mash. It just has like more of that kind of lingering malt complexity. It tastes less like water and malt. It tastes more like malt, water, dry. So such a weird kind of explanation. It's less like malt, water, malt, hops, or like, you know, whatever the roller coaster ride is. Instead, you get like this kind of like lingering kind of like just like malt barley tea thing. If you've ever been to like traditional Korean restaurants, they just give you barley tea, and it's just like kind of like it's a lingering kind of like, and it's like layered on top of kind of like the hops come in at the same tone too. It's all this like just like you know, single kind of like singular kind of like sort of roller coaster. It's like that tone that just rides through the palate. It's malt, water, hops, and it just like lingers throughout the entire palate. I get a nice kind of like peppery quality to it. Oh, it's super drinkable, yeah. And the water finishes on the back end. It definitely doesn't have the fatness of something like Pilsner Quell, but it seems like it lingers more towards that end because it has that kind of just like more malt quality to it, right? Like there's more malt flavor up front, so it leans more in that realm versus like a German Pils. Black and diacetyl is like a sort of like crazy thing, like that's a Pilsner Quell is like one of the or probably commercially the highest diacetyl producer of like, you know, that you can find commercially, right? This one's just quite nice, like delicious beer. It's killer, yeah. Has that round fatness that I like. If anything, like it, yeah, that's in the realm of like a beer shot lager house beer. It's absolutely killer. This beer for me gets a 90. We're in the range these days. 97. Reality Czeck Pilsner. Doesn't really immediately remind me of being back in Prague, but it's killer Pilsner. It's absolutely perfect. It just does everything so right. 97. Cheers. Later.